Hey, how's it going? Hey, happy Saturday, man. How are you guys doing today? Let me get just a little bit adjusted. Oh man, Saturday. What a busy day so far. How's it going? Vine Melter. Hey, thanks. Vein Melter, sorry. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Just saw that. Thanks for the follow just a little bit ago. Shuckle Samurai. How you doing? Oh man, I might need to stand up here in a second. Been sitting this morning. Software Rat. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. Man, yeah. What are you guys working on this weekend, man? Trying to get caught up. Seeing if you guys are starting new projects, finishing new projects, getting caught up on projects, delaying projects. Let me know what you guys are working on today. Hey, Sander Star. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Shuckle Samurai just finished installing Xubuntu on an old Asus T100 tablet that was running Windows 8. Nice. Xubuntu. So I ran that a while ago. Is that the XFCE UI over Ubuntu? I think so. I think they have the mouse logo, right? It's been a while since I looked at it, but it's super lightweight. I remember that. XFCE, I think, GUI, right? It's been a while. But I loved it. I actually ran that on my netbook for a while, that thing is still in use. I gave it to my brother. He still uses it every now and then. But yeah, my netbook, I think, came with Windows, I don't remember, 7 or 8, and I put it on there, and it ran pretty good. I was surprised. It was a Lenovo netbook too, so it had pretty good support for drivers. But yeah, let me know. But man, so does it have touch support then? I haven't seen I think it's XFCE. I should look into it. I haven't seen that GUI in a while. I should look into it again because man, I used to have so much fun installing different flavors of Ubuntu, and then just finally gave in to normal Ubuntu. But I loved it. Kubuntu too. I enjoyed KDE for a while because I thought it was a little more modern and it was all glassy and shiny and glossy, and so that kind of caught my eye too. But this was years ago. But yeah, let me know. Now to troubleshoot the compatibility issues. Yeah, what compatibility issues are you seeing? Is it drivers? Is it touch? Is it video? Is it yeah? Let me know. Hopefully you at least have network, network and video. Man, video drivers are so hard. Video drivers are so hard in Ubuntu. They're getting easier. But man, they're tough. Software Rat, do you know in which country Ori was mainly made? I don't. I mean, it's Microsoft Studios produced it, right? I don't know who they had developed it. I should probably know that. I don't know. Maybe US, but I could be wrong. But yeah, Microsoft Studios, I guess owns or is the publisher, I think. I always get confused and publisher developer stuff kind of sort of, but yeah, and speaking of Ori, man, still one of my favorite games. I haven't finished up Will of the Wisps. I need to because that game is so awesome. And like I said, like the first one, in the Blind Forest, I played through that so many times. I played through it, I think 3 times. 2 of the times I did 100% completion. And it's one of the few games I've ever purchased on multiple platforms. I bought it on Xbox and I bought it on PC. And I bought it on Xbox originally because I have an Xbox, and that's where I played it originally. And then it came out on Steam and I wanted to stream it. So I streamed it actually twice. And I love that game so much. I love it. It's a perfect mix of a platformer that's challenging along with kind of exploration and trophy hunting too. The achievements are one of the few things, I don't know, in games I feel like, for me at least, achievements are they're nice to haves and never go like achievement hunting. But on Ori, that was one of the few games where I was like 100%. This is a game I'm going to do 100% because I thought it was achievable. They weren't like, kill 20 million of this one thing and you just got to grind that out. They were more enjoyable. I felt like they were all pretty achievable for someone who was going to invest in a little bit of time in the game, but not investing like 500% more time into the game just to get achievements. It was more just like, okay, invest another 50% time that you've already played in the game to go after these achievements. I thought that was I thought it was a great blend of achievements and just gameplay. Frederick, hey, Frederick 7665, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Welcome. Let's see here. Somebody else. Hey, yeah, what do you got going on? So nothing too crazy, just putting around thinking of next projects. Yeah, I hear you. Are they home projects, tech projects? Yeah, what kind of projects, somebody else? Yeah, let me know. I'm going through the same thing. Today is my day where I have to think about what I'm gonna do for the next week. So I'm kind of going through the same thing. I always have a backlog of projects, but at least for me, you know, I have to produce one every week, so that's kind of tough. And so today, this afternoon, and this evening is kind of my thinking time to think about what it's going to be, because I need to start actually doing it and implementing it. But yeah, let me know, somebody else. Yeah, let me know what you're working on this weekend or what you're thinking about working on. Takano, hey yo, what's up, man? Dude, how's the lighting going, man? Yeah, I've seen your progress in Discord, man. It's pretty incredible. And I totally agree when you were talking about how long it would take to strip the wires. You know, those are, I think, the things that personally I don't think about until you have to do them, and you're like, oh yeah, this one step is like a ton of time sunk into it. Because I always think just big picture. Okay, what do I need? What are the steps I need to complete it? Okay, and then you don't think about all the tiny little pieces that go in between. But yeah, Sanderstar. That was I didn't see that one. Did I? Yeah. No, maybe I didn't. I don't remember. Sanderstar, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. I'm sorry if I didn't call it out, but yeah. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Takano, working on the Christmas light controller. Yeah, man. Yeah, just talking about that. Yeah, let me know, like, what step you're at. I know you said you'd like to get it out by this weekend, or I think by tomorrow. Hopefully you can. Yeah. Shuckle Samurai, yes, sir. Software right, yes. XFE 4, nice. Yeah, I need to get caught up. I just need to at least go to DistroWatch or XF or Xubuntu. I don't know if it's Xubuntu or Shubuntu or how that X is pronounced in Ubuntu. I usually say Xubuntu. Yeah, I need to go check it out. Are they still the light blue and the mouse? That was I think their brand for a while. It's a little mouse running on a wheel, I think. I need to look at it again. Need to get caught up on distros or other flavors of Ubuntu. Yeah, because I used to love it. Every weekend I was just like, okay, like I'm gonna install this version of Ubuntu on this laptop and this desktop and this virtual machine, and haven't had a time to do that lately. Software Ori is mainly made in Austria. I assume that's Austria, my homeland. Nice. I did not know that. Yeah, it's in my top 10 for sure of games ever. I don't know why. Well, I think I kind of explained why, but it's a fantastic mix of a platformer, a great story, great artwork, great music, and just the gameplay is super solid. I mean, it's just tough enough. You know, it's not super Meat Boy tough where you're gonna die 1,000 times just to complete one level, but you might die 3-4 times on some of the bosses. So that's totally, I love games like that. Excuse me, I need to cough. Need to grab a drink too real quick. My throat is dry. Man, it's the weather's been it's been changing a lot around here. Has the weather been odd for you guys? I'm not complaining though. It's odd in a good way. Like here in the Midwest, it's it's been perfect fall weather. Dry and warmer than usual. And I think today's not going to be an exception. I think yesterday was almost 80 here, but it didn't hit 80 until like late in the day. And by the time it did, the sun was going down, so it cooled off. But yeah, today I think 60s and sunny and dry. It's like, this is like great fall weather. And I love it when it stays dry in fall too, because like then the leaves aren't falling off. I think the leaves fall off earlier if they get all wet. And so anyways, great weather here on the weekend, which is another reason why I'm starting a little bit early, is because we got some stuff to do this afternoon. So had to make it a little bit earlier this weekend, and at the same time, have to cut it a little bit short today. But yeah. Shuckle Samurai, touch does work. Nice. Yeah, I figured that was gonna be the one that was super hard to get working. Touch does work. I have video, no network. Oh, network, no sound yet. Okay, so you got some things working. Hey, Captain Sakay, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. So touch does work. That's good. I have video. That's good. Hopefully it's optimized video too for your GPU. Network. That's actually pretty critical because otherwise you couldn't update these things easier. And no sound yet. Yeah, sound is always a tough one on Linux too. Yeah, sound and video for me, like, it's always been a tough one. And even back in the day when I used to run at least Linux desktops more than I do now, it was always hard for me because I always had like a creative, like a Sound Blaster card, and that basically was not going to happen. And I don't know. I guess back in the day, like me, I was always like, yeah, I gotta have my own dedicated sound card versus the onboard motherboard sound. Which, I was like, hey, getting a video card, getting a sound card, and that's how it always was. And that never played well with Linux at all. Maybe it's better now, but Creative, they never made drivers for Linux. I feel like biggest issue so far is it freezes after 45 minutes of uptime. Yeah, that's not good. Is it like 45 minutes every time, or is it during certain tasks? Do you notice you're doing certain things when it actually freezes, or is it always just on time? Shukasama, I had network. Yeah, awesome. Logic 23, Techno Tim. Hey, how's it going? Great video posting this morning and making your GPU available to your guest OS. Nice. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was easier to figure out after I did Windows. Windows was I paid the cost for figuring out how to pass through GPUs with Windows. And so, not that it was any harder, it's kind of, but I figured out the tough stuff in that one. So that made this one a little bit easier. Have you made your GPU available to your Blue Iris instance? If not, do you plan to? Yeah, that's a great question. I was thinking about that this morning too. So you know what? I am going to stand up because, man, I feel like I'm hunched over. So sorry, I'm gonna kind of move with the mic maybe, or not exactly with it. So have I considered doing it with Blue Iris? Yeah, absolutely I have. I thought about it this morning, and I was kind of, so I'm planning some upgrades soon. And so in those upgrades, I have to figure out how to divide up a lot of my workloads. And so I have workloads that are virtual machines. All my workloads, if you look at them from a high level, I have bare metal, then I have Proxmox, then I have virtual machines, then I have Kubernetes and Docker. And so I kind of have to divide some stuff up. And so, I know that Blue Iris can easily use a GPU for its encoding. And I've read about it. People say it's a less efficient way of doing it. And that may be true, somewhat, but I think a lot of that documentation was written before, a lot of the performance gains that NVIDIA, at least I use NVIDIA, that NVIDIA does with NVENC and their encoder, their onboard encoder. So that being said, I have been considering it quite a bit. And the reasons why I want to do it, if I do it, is to offload that processing from the CPU to the GPU. And right now I don't need to do that. I have an R710, it has 24 threads, they are around 3 gigahertz, and I can give 24 threads to that Blue Iris VM. And it handles it fine. Along with everything else I'm doing, handles it fine. My next build that I've been pondering every minute I have to think about it is kind of lowering probably my core count or my thread count and lowering the speed at which those cores run, and so part of that then will be, coming back to your question, do I offload, the transcoding for Blue Iris to a GPU? And, in my head, without thinking too deeply about it, I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I? But the challenge is here, is that, once you dedicate that GPU to that VM, it's exclusively assigned to that virtual machine, which, may or may not be the best thing. But if I'm going to be dividing up some of my workloads and possibly creating new servers, I'd like to have one of the same GPU in each one of those servers. And I'd like to pass that GPU through to my virtual machine that's doing Kubernetes or Rancher, so that my Docker workloads can take advantage of those. And so that, when I move those containers around, they would spin up on a virtual machine that has a GPU available to it, so I don't have to worry. I mean, I know there's things like, I think it's Affinity and Taints, I think they play with each other, where I could pin and say, hey, only these workloads can run on this type of server or this type of Kubernetes node, and that type of Kubernetes node has a video card. And I've been thinking about ways to do that, and so that opens some possibilities. Anyways, long story short, it's a long conversation as you can imagine. It's not as simple as just saying, "Yep, I'm going to do it." It's more just planning out how many things I want to be able to use my video card. And right now, in my workloads for Kubernetes, I only have one workload that can take advantage of my GPU. So it doesn't really sound that efficient to say, well, I'm going to have, 3 nodes or three Kubernetes nodes in my cluster. Each one of those nodes is going to have its own dedicated GPU, just in case that pod needs to run or get scheduled on that node. And so, I'm trying to balance all that. But it's a great idea, and I might do it in the interim. I might do it just because it's there, and I would hate to have a GPU in a server that's not being used. But at the same time, I have another VM that's doing encoding 24/7 that needs a GPU too. So I have to figure all this out. And so, to be honest, if I can get by with Blue Iris doing it on my CPU and it doesn't tax the rest of my system, I'll still do it there. But if I find that, hey, Blue Iris with all of my cameras, and when it does its transcoding tasks, it's eating into that CPU or the resources for other virtual machines or other workloads, then I'll definitely reassess. So hopefully that answers your question. I know I just probably spat out like a ton of possibilities and a ton of questions, and you're probably left more confused. But these are the things I haven't figured out yet too. And mixed in all of this is the fact that I do want to make some changes to my hardware, and it should be coming soon. Not the hardware. I wish it was, but the idea. So my plan. So I've been planning and trying to diagram what my I guess my V2 infrastructure is going to look like, and so I need a noodle on that, and I'll have more to share here soon. But absolutely, like as soon as I figure it out, I'm going to share it. I'll let you know exactly what I'm going to do, because there are a lot of possibilities, and there are definitely a lot of landmines in there too. And so I'm going to try to avoid the landmines and help you avoid the landmines too. So yeah, sorry, let me grab a drink real quick. For some reason, my throat is super dry. Hey, Yoda Droid. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. So yeah, Logic. Yeah, stay tuned. I'll have more to share. And obviously in Discord, I'll probably share more bits and pieces as I start to figure them out, or I'll even ask for the community's opinion on this too, because, like you're asking me, I ask people too. Sometimes it's the internet, sometimes it's people who have already done it too. So yeah, I definitely keep you informed. Let's see here. Calstub, hey, how's it going? Yeah, haven't seen you in a while. I assume because of the time difference. How's it going? Good evening to you. Hopefully it's a little bit early, a little bit earlier in the evening than it typically is for you. So hope you're doing well. VIP. Oh man, this is a tough one. VIP Killer. That's what it looks like. VIP Killer. Hey, Techno Tim, what is your favorite programming language? Throat's playing games on me. Yeah, good question. What is my favorite, or what do I use the most? They're actually the same. So me personally, my favorite is the one I use the most, and it's JavaScript. And so yeah, it's pretty much JavaScript, and that's because of how flexible it is. And I use JavaScript in a lot of different ways. And it's a very flexible language. I know it's not strongly typed, and I know, we don't have some of the same structs and same features that a lot of other languages have, but I found it's really awesome. And with the right tooling, it can help you do the right thing. So I've done JavaScript, I've done TypeScript, I've done a little bit of Python just recently. I've done a tiny bit of Go, I've done a lot of C#, and I've done a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but I've done VB.NET too. And, each had their pros and cons. I once I started to get into web development, oh yeah, my bot's working. I forgot to even check that before, so I'm glad that's still working. So I choose JavaScript for many reasons, but it all boils down to I can run it almost anywhere, and because of Node and because of a lot of other tooling, I can. Right. And so I can run it on the back end. I can I won't say I won't run it. I can run it on a database. But if you use a document storage like Mongo, kind of uses JSON. I won't say that it's pure JavaScript, but you have JSON there, right? So I can do it back end with Node. I can do it front end with a million different things. If you think of Angular, React, Vue, anything like that. So I can do it on front end too. And then also I can do it on mobile with things like React Native. So I found that just by using JavaScript, I can play almost anywhere I want to, writing the same type of code with a lot of the same tooling and a lot of the same ideas. So it helps me just move really, really fast. And so for a while, I've been at companies where front end is JavaScript, back end is Java, or front end is JavaScript, back end C#. And it's a big shift to start to think change your mental model of how things work and to do it. I've done it before, I can get through it, but I feel like I can move really, really, really fast with JavaScript, and I'm not writing plain old JavaScript. I'm doing whatever, ES6 using Babel to transpile, or whatever you want to enhance the language before it's transpiled and running on Node. So, but yeah, so the favorite is the one I use the most. Fortunately, the places I've worked, I've worked for places who were hiring for those positions who were writing JavaScript in general, and so it's worked out for me pretty okay. But I like it. Frederick, yeah, thank you. You too. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks for following. Appreciate it. Techno, been grinding it out. Got all these relay boards set up and ready to be mounted. Nice. Same with all the outlets. Awesome. Techno, just need to purchase some 4-gang boxes. Oh man, here we go. Yeah, man. Dude, like I said, your pictures that you've been sharing, I'm just totally blown away, because I would be super scared to do that kind of stuff, because I know very little about electrical. I've changed some outlets, changed the ceiling fan, and changed some switches. So yeah. Dev Cyclops, hey, how's it going? Anyone know if a GTX 1660 model that will fit in an R710 720? 1660, that's a tough one. So I have a 710. It's running here, and I was able to get a 1050 and a 1650 running in those. And the reason why I chose those models was because I didn't want to draw any external power, because at least for a 720, you can do it. Yeah, 720, yeah, no problem. So if you're running a 720 and a 1660, you should be able to, because one, it's going to have the PCI Express 16X slots, and on top of that, it's going to have your 12-volt rails, or the external power that you can plug in. So I think that combo will work. Me on a 710. I only have 8X PCI Express, so I had to do a slight modification. And then on top of that, I don't have the power pins to be able to power my GPU. So what I ended up doing was buying a lower model, 1050 or 1650, because it draws all of its power from the PCI Express slot. And, I did that intentionally. One, yes, obviously I had a restriction. I couldn't do anything else unless I wanted to physically modify the server. And I didn't want to really cut any wires or do any mods like that. But I ended up going down that route because I was only going to, for my needs, only going to take advantage of the encoder on there. So NVENC, at least for now. And so the NVENC encoder, I don't need the GPU side, so I didn't need a ton of processing. Basically, I'm using it, my video card is a glorified NVENC encoder right now for the 2 workloads I run in there. So, sorry, yeah, it might be allergies. I think someone mentioned allergies. I don't know, it's super dry. But yeah, that's how I did it. But I think on a 720, I think you're good. I mean, I see it in Reddit all the time. I mean, the last week on Reddit was everyone posting, their video cards inside of GPUs. And so I think that might be a decent combination right there. But if not, then you want a low power solution, depending on what you're going to do. I mean, 1650s and 1050s work fantastic. I have one of each running in my servers. Anyone else have honey-do lists? Yeah. But also thinking about either hacking something, all right, or building more defenses to detect. I like it. I like where this is going. Or trying to figure out how to give the community type things. Nice. TJ Applock. I'm going to go with that. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. I think a lot of us have lists that our SOs want us to do for sure. I'd say take care of that first. But then, hacking something, for sure. Like, that sounds interesting too. Building more defenses to detect, that's super helpful and handy. It's something I need to focus on as well. Better logging and monitoring of systems. I think that's always a good thing. Community type things are tough to figure out too. It's not only creating the thing that you think that a community will need, but it's also then getting the word out. And so I think getting the word out is almost as hard as creating the thing, because there's not a lot of discovery tools to help you with that. I mean, obviously you can put it in GitHub or GitLab or wherever your source code lives. But then you need to let people know it exists, and a lot of social media platforms don't like it when you share off-platform stuff. That's what I learned about a lot of algorithms. They want to keep you in their garden. Won't say it's walled because you can get out, but most social systems want you to stay on their platform and consume more content and not leave their platform. And so when people start posting things that take you off platform, most of the time the algorithm downvotes that content. That's what I've learned in my own experience so far. Phantom Way, hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. I thought you were already following. Guess not. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Let's see here. DevCyclops, you should give Pop OS a try. Yeah. I tried it out. I actually did it on stream once, and I thought it was pretty good. I love the whole like retro look. Hey, Fountain. Oh, there we go. Fountain Man, hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Yeah, I tried Pop OS. We spun it up on stream live once and kind of went through it. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was, seemed decent, seemed to work okay. I had no qualms. I like the UX. I definitely like the UI. I like the retro feel. I like the intro. The package manager, all the stuff felt like, like it was a decent operating system. I need another machine though too at some point that I can run a Linux desktop full time. I used to run this machine triple boot, and I did Hackintosh, Windows, Mac, but I've had to simplify since then. But I might have an opportunity here soon to run Linux full time on some other things too. Because I already have my MacBook for work, so I don't need to do Hackintosh anymore. Well, it's my MacBook for all Mac things. Let's say that it's my own personal, but I use it for work. And then obviously I have a Windows machine that all this is running on, so I need to weave in a Linux machine full time because because software dev on Mac and Linux is fantastic. It's getting better on Windows, but a majority of the time when I'm not streaming or creating content, I'm writing code too. So it would be nice to be able to have something a little more focused on, hey, I'm just writing code. Like I have my MacBook for work. It's pretty much all it gets used for. It's because I write code on there. Tronin, 1990. Hey, trying to follow your tutorial on Rancher. Been struggling with how to find the change to, yeah. This one's tough. So I would advise that if you started with 80 and 443 is to just burn down that burn down that container. And I know that's not the greatest answer, but it's when you originally spin that up. So when you spin that up for the first time using 80 and 443, it does more than just configure Rancher to listen on those ports. It also does some configuration, I think, on the Kubernetes side. And then those ports, when you get the agent or configure your node with those ports, it also configures that too. So if you're not that deep in, I would say just remove that container, reset it, and then switch the ports. I remember seeing a post in Rancher's GitHub talking about how to make this change if you chose the wrong ports up front. It's super hard to find. I haven't been able to find it, but I remember seeing it. And they had some documentation on how to change the certs as well as changing these ports. And I think it might be even in the same post. But my recommendation is if you don't have that much time invested into it, other than trying to change the ports, just spin it up with the right ports and reconfigure it. I know that's not the best answer, but you have to remember that when you're spinning up Rancher for the first time, you're actually configuring all of Kubernetes or K3s at the same time. So it's kind of, to the outside looking in, it looks like, hey, I should be able to change these ports, but there's a lot of magic that happens when you initialize that for the first time. But yeah, let me know. Man, throat, what is going on? Takano had to delay working on it the night before since they had to emergency vet at like 11 p.m. Oh man, hope the dog, I think it's dogs. I hope dogs or cats or pets are okay. That stinks. Yeah, emergency vets are always no fun. It's never fun in general when pets are sick or not feeling well, because you can't just ask them. I've been through it a few times, and it just stinks. It's like, what is wrong with you? And they like can't tell you, like, oh, my throat hurts, or oh, I ate something bad, or my stomach hurts. They're just laying there. So I hope everything's okay. That one's tough. Simon. Hey, how's it going? Hey, good to see you. Yeah. Dev Cyclops. If you're installing Rancher on the same box as a cluster, you can change the ports and avoiding port conflicts with Nginx Ingress. There you go. PC Geek. Hey, Tim. Just want to say hi. Out shopping today. Hey, awesome. What are you picking up? What kind of shopping? Is this just normal week-to-week grocery shopping, or is this buying something awesome? Yeah. Hey, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. Craven, what do you decide on what you're upgrading to? I have not yet. I keep, sorry, I'm a little behind in comments, but I'm getting caught up. Nicand LV. That was a tough one. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. So Craven, I haven't decided yet. I haven't even figured out if what I want to do is even possible in my head. I keep thinking about, I'd love to get down to 2 or 3 1U servers. And that's for a few reasons: efficiency, rack space, power, and but at the same time, I have to balance out some of the things I want to do on those. So I haven't figured out if I'm gonna go 1U, gonna go 2U, 3 1U, but I do want it to be a little more slim because I have limited rack space in my rack. But that's not the primary reason. A lot of it has to do with power draw too. And so if I can get away with 3 servers that pull, roughly the same amount as my R710 plus one other thing I have running, that's, it's a PC convert. I think that's a win for me. So I haven't decided. I don't even know if what I want to do yet is possible. I just, I've been mulling it over in my head every night, every day. Like when I'm walking around, I'm just like thinking, okay, how can I make this work? And I probably need to write it down because then it'd be a lot easier to kind of move things around. But I will let you know as soon as I know, and as soon as I have a path forward and I purchase something, I'll let you know. I mean, when I purchase something that doesn't always mean that it's 100% concrete, but it means, I'm moving forward on something. And so I'll let you know for sure. Because I want to find something that's the right balance of power, efficiency, and availability or redundancy too. Software, Rat. What's the power consumption of your R719? So I have an R710. It's hard to tell. So I know the power consumption of my rack is right around 450. And that's because I can see it on the UPS when I walk down there. So I don't know about the individual parts because I've never turned down the individual pieces of my rack and looked at them individually. But I think, it's anywhere between 400 or 500, I think, watts it's pulling. That doesn't include a few things that are not in my rack. So it's really hard to tell. But right around there. And I do have some, I have some pretty intense workloads running on there, and it can vary. It can vary, give or take a couple 100 either way. I know that's a big swing, but there are times when I transcode and there are times when I don't transcode. So, that's going to sway it either way. But yeah. So hard to tell. But last I checked, when I go down in the basement and I look at the UPS and it's cycling through the draw, it says around 450, which isn't too bad. But can I get lower? That's what I keep going for. But yeah. Shuckle Samurai, foreshadowing is a powerful tool. I think he knows what he's getting. I promise I don't. I don't. And even in last stream, I was like, hey, everyone, shoot me, one use server ideas, and that's kind of what people are doing. And I have them written down here in my pages of notes. We talked about a 1U epic someone mentioned, a 1U 2-node, and a 1U AIC. So those were things that we talked about last stream, and those are the things that I've kind of exploring. And so I just want to make sure, I think this is going to be my upgrade for a couple of years. And we'll see. And I might keep my 710 in that rotation. As for some other stuff, I might not. But yeah. So I promise I don't know. But once I do, like I said, I'll probably have something in Discord first. And then we'll go from there. Let's see here. See Weatherford. That looks like a new one. Weatherford. I can't get past Java in the name. I know it isn't the name. Oh, as far as languages? Yeah. I know it isn't the same. Wait, what are we talking about? I can't get past Java in the name. I know it isn't the same. I assume Java, the language. Oh, JavaScript. I know. It's really ECMAScript. I totally agree. It was totally a misnomer. They just named it wrong. It's really ECMAScript, which doesn't roll off the tongue that well either. But yeah, I agree. I mean, didn't Douglas Crockford and a couple other people write the language in a weekend? It's so crazy to look at the history of JavaScript. Not only the name, but how quickly it was developed, and then how ubiquitous it is now, and all the tooling around it now that has made it semi-okay. Touch My Kenny, our home lab was full of GPUs and servers last week. Heck yeah, it was. That's what, help inspired me, or help kicked me in the pants to say, all right, this is what I'm doing this week. But yeah, I totally agree. It blew up there, and I'm like, well, I did my, I don't know if you can tell from the dates, but I'll spill it. Usually so Saturdays I release, Sundays I record. So I'm already going to start recording next week's video tomorrow. And, I usually shoot it in one day, and then I edit it throughout the week and then release on Saturday. So while that was going on, I was already editing. I'm like, this is perfect. And it's something I wanted to figure out too. And it's something I did figure out. But it was good timing. Nick and LV. I'll go with that. Nick and LV. Hello there. I have a question. I'm a senior front-end developer, and I want to either do streaming or YouTube videos. Which do you think is best for starting out? Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. It really depends. Because I've kind of done a lot of the same things. And here's what I've learned, and this is what I've learned from other people who have done it too. If you ever want to create live content, so let's put it this way. There's creating live content, and then there's creating video on demand content, or videos, right? And so you kind of have to separate those two. But at the same time, Right now, as far as getting discovered, I think that creating YouTube videos, so video on demand, is a better way to get discovered than doing live content. And that's at least true 100% for Twitch. Other platforms, not entirely sure. So if you choose Twitch for your live streaming platform, it's really hard to get discovered there. And because, Twitch has very rudimentary algorithm to actually promote your content to other people, where YouTube has a really advanced algorithm to present your content to other people and promote it. And so, their algorithm obviously is far advanced. A lot of people think they kind of understand it. I kind of have the gist of what you need to do in order to get your content out there. And it doesn't have to do with how many follows you have. Or subscribers you have. It doesn't have to do with a lot of the things that people normally think would apply to an algorithm. It's more about consistency. It's more about interaction. And it's more about, thumbnails, obviously, and then your content itself. I mean, they have an algorithm to rate your content. And then one thing that people never talk about with the YouTube algorithm is, except for YouTube, they've talked about it, is they have like this kind of satisfaction level too. And so they have a way to measure your satisfaction with a video when you're watching that video, and not only when you start watching that video, but what you do after that video too. And that's another input too that YouTube has had in one of their channels. And so it's a combination of all of that that help your videos get discovered. And so that satisfaction thing, I just mentioned that because like if someone watches your video and then you immediately bounce and they don't come back to YouTube for whatever, a couple days, they're kind of like, maybe there was something in that video. Let's just put it that way. It's a signal to them to say, okay, but if they were watching your content and then they watch other people's content and they watch other people's content, that's a good signal to say, hey, they are satisfied. And so anyways, they discuss it kind of high level. I guess I'm putting my own assumption on kind of how it works too. So it's a little bit of all of that. So for starting out, going back to your original question, sorry, I had to lay a little bit of groundwork because these are the things I've learned over the last, 9 months. I've only been doing this for 9 months. So the things that I learned then were, first, primarily, I was doing way more live content and doing no video on demand. And so I learned from a lot of channels, like things like Harris Heller, he's a big streaming guy, Sam Woodall, who's the editor for the big streaming guy who also runs the Alpha Gaming channel. And then Devin Nash, he's another guy. He's a ton of stuff, but I think he's a CMO of some company that does esports, but has a really good insight into social media, live streaming, video on demand, like all the social stuff and video stuff. Not doing any of those justice. But what I learned from them was you should probably spend more time on your throat today. You should probably spend more time on your video on demand, because those video on demand platforms like YouTube. So I'm just, whenever I say video on demand, just think YouTube. But because those platforms like YouTube have better algorithms to help you get discovered. And so that's where I personally had to make a shift and say, okay, well, instead of, I still stream 3 times a week. I don't know how I do all this. But I'm not going to stream for 5-6 hours on Saturday and 4 or 5 hours on Tuesday, Thursday. I'm going to spend that time creating, YouTube content. And so that's what I did. And it's worked out well so far. I mean, obviously I had some followers on Twitch. I had to do a lot of things all at the same time. It's like, no more gaming on Twitch unless that's what people want to see. I'm going to, talk about, I'll spill it all. I'm going to talk about the projects that I do that I find interesting, that I'm doing anyways, kind of document those in videos, and then talk about that same type of content on Twitch, but make it a little more interactive. That's my whole thing. And so, yeah, I hope that answers your question. That's I just spilled a whole bunch of information there. If you want to know more, I highly suggest checking out the Alpha Gaming channel, because Harris Heller talks about a lot of this, and I followed a lot of it too, and it's really, really, really helped. So Alpha Gaming, great channel. He's Harris Heller on Twitch. He talks about all this stuff all the time. Devin Nash is another good channel to look at to help you understand the way some of these things work. And so I just go back to, if you're just starting out, I honestly, and you're thinking about doing YouTube plus Twitch, focus most of your time on YouTube. But and then you'll run into some of the same things that then people run into. Okay, well, how do you then get people over to Twitch? You're on two different platforms, and so that's a different conversation altogether too. But yeah, these are great questions to ask. Yeah, and yeah, thanks for asking. And I will say too, focus on your content. Obviously, the algorithm takes that into account too. Like, focus on your content 100%. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard to look at. It's going to be hard to listen to when you first start out. I mean, I look at the one I just made, just released this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, what? It's hard to talk to a camera and feel natural. Like right now, I feel super natural because there's people asking questions, right? And I feel like, hey, there's people in this room with me, whether it be virtual or physical. When you record your video on demand stuff, it's hard to have that kind of that interaction too. And so I don't have that same energy. I need to find that. So yeah, things I need to work on. How do I get the same energy that I have on a live stream on a YouTube video? I would love to, for some reason it's super hard to do. And so those are things you'll have to figure out too. But tons of resources out there. So hopefully that helps. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent on that, but I know that some people want to do the same thing, and I'm willing to share all of my secrets. They're not really secrets. They're just things I figured out. And I'd love to share. I figured these out from people who have already figured these out. It's like anything. Like, why do you follow a tutorial? Well, because someone figured it out, and they're probably doing it kind of the right way, or at least to make it work. And so, channels like Alpha Gaming have tutorials for gaming or streaming, live content, or YouTube content, even social media content. So yeah, those are the tutorials I follow. Alpha Gaming for sure. Phantom Way might want to code to prevent follow spamming. Might want to code in to prevent follow spamming. Yeah, that one's tough. I hear you. I've been bot spam followed before. The only tough part is that, and I won't go too far. So I could code it into mine. If I saw 5 follows within 5 seconds, just ignore the rest, right? So that would help my bot, but it doesn't help my alerts, and it doesn't help my event list, because that's all owned by Stream Elements. I use Stream Elements for my events and my alerts, and unless they do that same type of thing, it doesn't help. We've seen it before in Stream. My whole event list will go offline. It basically almost crashes Stream Elements, I think. Hopefully they have something in place now. And then my alerts are going off for 5 minutes until I realize, I should probably reset my alerts because those events have already fired, and I don't want them to fire anymore. But yeah, totally agree. I probably should on my bot too. And I think what happened on my own personal bot when that happened too, that whole container restarted. It was just, I think it was way too much for it to handle. But yeah, good call. Cowstub. Yes, it's 11 p.m. Week update. Installed an R810. That's a beast. Nice. Installed 5 VMs on Proxmox and installed UNMS and a Radius Manager on Rancher and Kubernetes. I like it. Services are rolling out for a client with IP and TV and SIP broadband. Tried 100 gig QSFP by 25 gig. It works like butter. Nice, man. You are going all advanced. I love it. But facing an issue with Rancher with 443 port. Quick question: how do I access DSL link plus local LAN? Unable to access network behind the net. Oh man, this is super advanced, and I'm not sure exactly. I know exactly what you're asking, but you're asking, how do I access DSL link plus local LAN within a container? Yeah, that one's. This sounds like a great question for Discord. I'm sorry, because I need to understand a little bit more of what's going on, or I can try to parse through it. But your containers should be able to communicate with. I mean, I don't know where your DSL link is. Hopefully, they can get to that through your default gateway. If it's its own standalone IP, that's not what your gateway's pointing to. That might be a little tougher. I'm not sure. But yeah, let me know. And if not, that sounds like an awesome question for Discord too, because I feel like there's a lot of follow-up questions there to better understand your topology, because that's a big question. But yeah, that's the questions I have right off the bat. Like when you say DSL link, is that your WAN for all of your network, or is it a second one? Let me know. Software rat, yes. Software rat code on Mac is a dream for me. I totally agree. Totally agree. Techno, so now a project after the whole lighting thing is to make an API for Instagram that you can throw it a user and it will spit out a pic of their profile. I like it. Yeah, I like it. So you can do some web scraping stuff like that too. Yeah, you can do some web scraping stuff because now Instagram has their stuff on the web too. So you can figure out their profile name, right? If you just go to whatever, Instagram.com/profile name, you could totally web scrape that off and get their profile pic for sure. Software rat. That's why I decided to buy a Mac Mini in 2014 or equivalent for code and other things. Yeah, I totally agree. I had a Mac Mini for a while. Then it ran Windows for a while too, because I found like that Mac Mini I bought at the time was like the best form factor for my media center at the time. This was a while ago, but those Mac Minis are awesome. And so I bought, I think, the last one where you can actually swap out the hard drive and the RAM. I think I bought it used and then upgraded it, put in some solid states and more RAM, and it was awesome. Bossware, hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, I totally agree. Don't get me wrong, I code just as much as I do on a Windows machine with WSL as I do a Mac, because daytime is code on Mac, nighttime is code on Windows. So I roughly the same, depending on the day. And WSL makes it way better than it used to be, for sure. C. Weatherford, Q-Unvert FreeNAS. Should I RAID the drives with the server, CNTL, or leave them all as raw and RAID in FreeNAS? Yeah, good question. I would probably leave them as raw and RAID them in FreeNAS with ZFS, right? Isn't that what we want to do? Because FreeNAS or TrueNAS, right, runs ZFS, and with ZFS, you want to give them direct access to the drives. And so I wouldn't have any kind of abstraction layer in between. I would give FreeNAS direct access to all of those drives. That's where I go, because I think that's what their documentation says too. And just ZFS in general, right? Shouldn't be any layer in between. The drive controller, the operating system should have direct access to those drives. Happy weekend, Shivs. Hey guys, happy weekend. Yeah, you too. Takano, yeah, Husky, he's had a couple seizures and he was basically diagnosed with epilepsy. Oh, poor pup. Yeah, man, this is going back to talking about your dog. I apologize. Blue Fire, absolutely you should use FreeNAS ZFS for RAID. Yep, there we go. Awesome, thank you guys. Let's see here. See Weatherford, cool, that's what I assume. Thanks, no problem. Mirror the first two drives with hypervisor and the rest with FreeNAS. Yeah, you guys got this. You guys got this, for sure. Logic found you through Twitch. You should really have found you through Twitch. Nice, really. Should have found you through YouTube, but first Twitch. Hey, that's good to know. And so I'll say too that I'm not bashing Twitch for their algorithm. Like that stuff is super hard. And also at the same time, I know that they're working on it. Twitch is promoting videos now when you open up Twitch. It wasn't always that way. It was basically, who do you follow that's live? And that person would be at the top of your live list. And you're just like, okay, I'll watch the channel that has 20,000 viewers, and that's not a great algorithm, for people getting discovered, because then that person getting 20,000 viewers, is going to be at the top of a lot of people's lists. And so I will say that Twitch absolutely is focusing on this, and it's improved a ton, even over the last couple of months. I mean, people tell me, hey, you were on my recommended list. I was like, I didn't even know Twitch was doing that, but thank you. And that happened like a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, I don't want to, it's tough. It's tough. And I don't want to I'm definitely not trying to, throw any shade on Twitch at all, because it's hard, and I'm sure they know what they're doing. They're just slowly rolling out this stuff, and when they're primarily, a live streaming platform with VOD content kind of second and clips kind of mixed in there, I think they have a plan, and we're slowly starting to see that plan. And they need to, like anything, test and confirm their assumptions, and test them and roll them out. So yeah, for sure. Dota 2 Attitude. What is the stream project? Homeland projects? Stream title. Oh yeah. So Homeland project. Yeah. So Homeland is just this idea of building up like a computer lab at home that you can test or run things on. And so, a lot of folks do that. And it's become synonymous with kind of running a server and services at home along with some self-hosting. But at the end of the day, I kind of think of it like, how you had a computer lab in school, you kind of have a lab at home that you own all the hardware that you can build and test and destroy and build up and do different things to kind of learn on. And then if you want, have a production environment to then run some of your own services. So that's kind of how I think about it. Hope that helps. Dota 2 Attitude. Simon. Tim, will you release your videos on blank? Different platforms. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't found another place to release them. And like I said, YouTube has a great algorithm for finding or pushing out your content. Twitch has a great live streaming platform, and so I've kind of settled with those two. Are there other platforms out there? Sure. Would it be worth my time to go and get on those? Maybe. If it's this whole, the idea of a new platform that's newer means that the people that go there first, have a great advantage. But at this time, like the one you mentioned right there, I haven't been to that site, nor have I heard of it. So, that might be because it's new, but that might be because, it's just not promoted, or common. And so you kind of got to balance those things out too. And, if I, or someone who's doing this stuff hasn't heard or been there, you kind of wonder, well, other people who don't know anything about, where people post content, will they discover this place too? And so I'm always trying to balance it. We've seen things like Mixer and, you got DLive out there. I mean, for live streaming, you have all these newer places coming and going. And then on VOD content, you kind of have a lot of like 3 or 2 that have been there for a while, and most people just think in their head YouTube, right? This becomes synonymous with VOD content. So yeah, I'm open to suggestions. If opportunities arise in those areas and I don't have any kind of restrictions on when I can release content where, like I do on Twitch a little bit, yeah, I'll explore it for sure. Mala Kiner, hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. And Soy Retta, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Yeah, but I'll check it out for sure. Nick and LV, thanks a lot for the advice and your experience. Yeah, no problem. Sorry I rambled on that one, but I think it's a good topic, and it's a good question to ask, and it's absolutely, I welcome those questions too. I like to share things that I figured out, and that's not only with tech, but it's also in social media and YouTube and Twitch and whatever I figured out. Yeah, it's fair game, and I will definitely answer, unless it's passwords or stuff like that. Navy Cop, Tim does a lot with home-based networking. Yeah, you got it, man. You got it. Tilburn, have you ever had a PoE switch die? My Aruba 2524 port died. Got so hot, it cooked itself. What's crazy? I haven't. I've heard of other people where it has happened. I've read on the internet, it does happen. I haven't. Personally, I just have I have 2 5-port PoE switches. And so, I don't have, like a rack mountable switch where some ports are PoE. I might go down that route soon. Hopefully mine doesn't fry. That sucks though. That really sucks. Navy Cop, you aren't alone here. We're sitting behind one-way mirror, so it's a little creepy. Oh, how goes it? Hey, good man, good man. Taking a few minutes of a break from loading a dumpster with renovation trash. Nice, man. Yeah, you're doing the whole home remodeling project. Every weekend I talk to you, you're like, yeah, home remodeling, running wires. I thought you were up to wiring. I can't remember where you left off on that project though. But Nick, in LV, it's going to be hard, of course. That's what I learned. Learning new technologies at the beginning, it's going to be hard, confusing, and maybe disappointing. But after some time, it's going to get better and better. I totally agree. I totally agree. And your content will be totally better. And one day you'll look back at it and you'll be like, whoa, what was I doing or thinking or saying, or what was I not doing or thinking or saying? And I go through that every week. And that's something I've accepted now. For a long time, I couldn't even hear my own voice recorded. Now I'm used to it. It's almost like you have to build up a muscle for it and a stomach for it to see yourself and hear yourself and just think like, just looking at it kind of objectively and say, okay, what did I do wrong here and how can I make it better? I mean, it's like, like sports. You watch, you watch game videos to see how you can improve. And I watch some of mine to see how I can improve too. Heyo, Creepinson, how's it going? Let's see here. Techno, he's doing all right now. Definitely was scary, but we have another appointment soon for another checkup. Yeah, poor pup. And yeah, possibly web scrape as well. I'm going to have to do some research for sure. Yeah, web scrape is super easy. I think Puppeteer, I think, is a tool that I've used before. I've used a lot of web scraping agents, but Puppeteer should work. You should check it out if you're going to do it JavaScript. It's great. Big Gun 27, how's your lab storage? Mine's pretty okay. So I have a NetApp DS42 DS something, ends in a 6. That's all I know. See, I'm terrible at hardware names because I knew nothing about it until I bought it. But I have a NetApp disk array shelf that has the ability for me to add 24 drives. And then I connect that to an HBA controller to another server. I have 23 terabytes of storage, and that's in a RAID Z2. So pretty good. I have lots of room to grow. I mean, I'm only using about a third of that. And it's grown a lot this year, especially because I'm doing videos now, but I kind of planned for that. But yeah, moving forward, I'm going to have to, soon, I'm going to have to figure out how to handle the influx of videos that are coming in, and it's me creating stuff. Because every time I create, every Sunday I'm dumping 100 gigs, 150 gigs of data to FreeNAS. So, is that going to last for years and years? No. But, I might find some ways to be able to convert some of my raw videos to more compressed versions, so then I can still keep them and maybe use them in the future, but not sure. But so far, it's pretty solid. FreeNAS with my NetApp disk array shelf and some hard drives working out super solid. Had some problems with some errors on drives, but those got replaced by Seagate. So yeah. Takano, along with any potential video on how to make custom Docker containers. Oh yeah, yeah. So if you need help on that, I've done it a couple times. So I make a custom Docker container every time I in my CI pipelines. I mean, if you think about it, right? You're taking a Docker container or an image. From there, you're adding additional files. You might be creating scripts for it to start. You're probably exposing maybe some volumes and exposing some ports. You're creating a new Docker image, and then you're pushing that to a registry. That's exactly what you do almost every time in CI if you're using Docker. So it's easier than you think. And if you need an example, look at my Broadlink repo in there in my CI. I build a Docker container every time in Python. React too, but you can see the steps you need for Python. So it's easier than you think. You just have to kind of learn the Docker API. Yeah, let me know. Oh man, Blue Fire. Look at these great emojis. Oh yeah, float plane. Oh yeah, float plane. That's the platform built by Linus. I'm not sure. I see some content creators going there. I haven't figured out if that's a good move yet. I do like the idea of it, right? You can give people access to your videos a little bit sooner, some, exclusivity around it. Looks cool. I think Apos Vox does his stuff there too. Who else? I mean, everyone, big ones. Linus does. Bitwit, I think, does. And so, yeah, it seems like a great platform for it. I just don't know, at what point do I do that? I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely aware of Floatplane. I hear of it, but I don't ever go to Floatplane. You know what I mean? I hear about it. I know people are doing stuff there. And if you support them through Floatplane, obviously you get notifications. But that's not somewhere I typically land. So, not saying it's not a great platform, because it probably is. I just have to figure out, where's my time going to get me the most return? Because I have very limited time. And when I mean return, I don't mean like money. I just mean like, the value that I put in, do I get that value out? And I don't know what the tipping scale is for that. Like I said, this is all new to me. So when I figure that out, I'll let you know too. Techno just posted a new project I found out about in the Docker channel, since it's a combination of WireGuard, Pi-hole, and Unbound single Docker container. Wow, that's like a whole network firewall all in one. That sounds really awesome. Yeah. Sounds interesting. I thought at first you're going to say swag, and how Linux Server IO kind of had to change their name from, at least their Docker container had to change it from, what were they doing? Let's Encrypt, I think, to swag. Bluefire. I used mine for Bitcoin back in the day before it was 100 per Bitcoin. Yeah. That's really awesome. Good use case for it. I was going to talk about that, but I haven't had any experience at all in Bitcoin mining. So I was kind of like, I'm not going to bring this up. I feel like I would have had to do a lot of research before I would be able to speak about it, at least even more than just understanding that it exists. Avicop took a break from inside stuff. Attic is too hot. Yeah, working on the outside, building raised garden beds, wiring an external mesh for the yard, and IP cameras. Dismantling the deck. I just hit 52 and I'm not as fast as I could be. Back to internal wiring and repiping soon. Oh man, yeah. Glad you took a break from the attic. I've done a couple things in the attic, and man, it is hot up there. Or really cold. So we have I think it's a cold attic. I don't know. It's basically attic that's, should be the same temp as the outside. And in the winter, it's super cold. And in the summer, it's super hot. But the funny thing is, every time I go up to the attic, it's so peaceful up there. I don't know what it is, but you can just hear the outside. You can hear the trees. It's so interesting. Every time I go up in the attic, I dread going up there. But once I get up there, I'm like, it's so peaceful up here. It's so quiet. And yeah, you can just hear outdoors. And I was just like, man, it kind of feels like I'm like in the wilderness, but I'm in my attic. Anyways, it's kind of weird. I feel Linus Tech Tips collaboration building a redundant pair of 45 drive machines. Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, he has no idea who I am, but yeah, that'd be awesome. It'd be more, wouldn't be a collaboration. I'd be like, hey, can you do this for me? And act like I have no idea what's going on. Even though when it gets to that point, I may or may not. I think he's really big on the big Storinator, right? He's really big on Storinator. I think like Storinator to him is like FreeNAS to Wendell, right? That's what I've learned. Because every time Linus is like, let me go help this person who has no idea about storage, I'm going to throw in a Storinator with like 45, like you said, 45 drives. And when Wendell does it, it's like, okay, so first we're going to buy this NetApp disk array off eBay, and then we're going to get this LBA or LSI HBA controller. We're going to get all these drives, and then we're going to install them in there, and then we're going to install FreeNAS on it. So I think those are very similar. At least I see them that way. But yeah, I would totally, if Linus would, yeah, for sure. Why wouldn't I? Be like, yeah, welcome to my humble abode. Floatplane is like Patreon. Yeah, I totally agree. But they, absolutely. I mean, I understand the concept. I just haven't decided if that's something I want to do yet. You know what I mean? Because I'm already on 2 platforms. Yeah, maybe I should be on more. I think maybe I should be on more. I'm not sure. But I have to, I just got to balance it all out. Adding one more platform is adding, maybe an hour or 2 again a week. And I finished some of my videos pretty late. I mean, I don't think there's been one yet where I'm done early. Like the one that I did today, I thought for sure, I was like, sweet, I'm going to have this one out Friday morning. I'm going to surprise everyone. Friday morning video. No, it didn't happen. Because, you know, even when I'm done with the video and do a final render, then it's everything else. It's thumbnails, descriptions, time codes, you know, and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think, it's just something, if you ever decide to do it, there are a lot of things that you don't think about initially besides creating the video, and there's a lot more that goes on around it too. But yeah, for sure. But super fun, super fun. Let me see here. Let me see. Tronan, Portainer or Rancher? What's the main reason for choosing one or the other? Yeah, people ask this question a lot. So I'll just kind of throw it back at you because people do ask it a lot. Is try them both. Spend 15, 20 minutes on both. You know, that's all it's going to take to spin one up and look at it and look at the UI and see how it works and spin up like an Nginx container. And kind of decide for yourself which one. Now that, so before I would say, hey, if you only want to do Docker, I guess I can kind of say that. If you want to do Docker only and manage a Docker host and nothing about Kubernetes, Portainer is a good choice. But if you want to manage Kubernetes, both are good choices. I'll just say that. And so you'll kind of have to decide, you know, and then at the same time, you'll have to, what am I trying to say? With Rancher versus Portainer, you know, totally lost my train of thought. But anyways, you'll have to decide. I think they're both good for managing Kubernetes. They both do it now. What I was going to say, here we go. So is if you're already familiar with Portainer, you've done it in the past and you just want to add Kubernetes, probably a good choice for you because you'll kind of feel at home. But at the end of the day, they're kind of doing the same thing, right? They're managing Kubernetes for you. And they're saving you from writing and managing a bunch of YAML and then using kube control to send that YAML to the Kubernetes API. And so they give you other things too, right? There's many more value adds besides a UI. But at the end of the day, you know, if I had to sum it up, that's what they're going to do. So if you're deciding between the two and you've never done either, I'd say 15, 20 minutes. If you're running a hypervisor, spin up 2 virtual machines and try it. Or spin up one, right? Spin up one, build it up, tear it down, do it again, and then kind of decide. Hope that helps. I know that's a lot of questions and putting a lot of stuff back at you, but you know, it's going to be whatever you feel more familiar with for sure. Let's see here. Senpai Carter. Sorry, I got to get this name down. So I know what Senpai is, but I don't know what K Carter. Maybe it's Senpai K Carter. I'll go with that. Senpai K Carter. Bootstrap 2, though, with Wendell on his ZFS running on Fedora because it's an abomination. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. iLoot45drives.com. Okay, I'll have to check it out. Yeah, no, you guys are. I think you're trolling me on that one. Navy Cop, pretty sure my attic hit around 400 degrees Kelvin. Whoa, man, you better be careful, man. Starting to get better up there. Starting to work on building out a virtual machine to operate my garden drip system. Yeah, we talked about this before. And want to install a wireless weather station that I can access to the home and such. Yeah, that sounds so awesome. Something I definitely want to dive into. Dracnet, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's something I definitely want to dive into too. I've been thinking about it, but I think I'm gonna hold off. Obviously, I'm not gonna do it this year because at least in the northern hemisphere, you know, it's fall now, and so winter's coming. And so you know, I'm definitely pushing it off until at least next year, but I do want to figure some stuff out. Right now, I have the craziest combination of timers. I think I from my hose, I have a backflow preventer that goes to a manifold that splits off 4 ways. Each 4 of those, 2 of those 4 have timers that then split into zones. And then those zones may or may not have pressure reducers for soakers, which go to sprinklers. So I have the most, I haven't figured it out. I haven't figured out if my irrigation is the most automated low tech or the most, or the, yeah, I don't know if mine's the highest low tech or the lowest high tech irrigation system out there, but it's pretty I've been refining it for a couple of years. It looks pretty crazy if you see it, but it works pretty well. So anyways, I'd love to do more automation around that too. And so it's obviously not smart. It doesn't know when it rains. I would love to know when it's going to rain and delay the timer, or look at the rain forecast for this week and say, yeah, might not want to water the grass this week because we're going to get an inch tomorrow. What's the point of doing it today? So yeah, it's super fun. But I would love to do some of the stuff you're doing too, and maybe this spring I can and have something, because I'm super interested in that. Like, I've always loved weather too. On top of that all, and then just to be able to automate stuff, I love that too. And then I love planting stuff. We have a ton of stuff planted, a lot of perennials and annuals that I want to keep alive. Blue Fire, my coworker. Me and a coworker bought 20,000 worth of butterflylab.com chips just a quick thing. I'm just going to say that the links are there. So just real quick, I think I should say this, but the bot that's preventing links is there for a reason. So it's like circumventing the bot and, putting .com and stuff in there. Let's try not to do that. Okay. Like, I get it. You're not trying to promote this thing, or you don't work for that, but just in general, and maybe I should put that as a general rule, let's not circumvent the bot by adding spaces and dots. Like, I get it. You want people to know where it's from, but yeah. But anyways, even if the website is, I'm just saying as a general rule, if the bot's going to block something, it's for a reason. And so circumventing the bot isn't the best thing to do. So anyways, I get it. And I know you mean no harm from it, but I just want to throw it out there. But me and a coworker bought 20,000 worth of Butterfly Labs chips for custom PCBs and other hardware. We barely doubled our money on it, and it would have been much better in hindsight to just buy the BTC, since it was about 80 per BTC back then. So I don't know, what were Butterfly chips? Or Butterfly Labs. And what were you going to do with these? Because this sounds super interesting. And did you make your money back? Because, man, that's a lot of money to spend. Oh, my gosh. That's a lot of money to spend. $20,000. I couldn't imagine just like, oh, man, going out on a whim and doing it. Bootstrap to the T. Sorry. F working in the attic during the summer. I totally agree. Frankingation. Yeah, this is probably for my irrigation. Yeah, totally it is. But it works out okay. And I have to like alternate all the timers and stuff in general, just because water pressure too. So I have it down. But every year I reset it and I figure it out again. I don't know why, I just don't write it down, but I have to time everything just right. Takano, gonna finish up wiring all the relays and Arduinos and test something. Nice. iLoot 45 drives is real. They took the case design that Backblaze released and started building them for people to buy. Nobody here would overtroll. Oh, that's right, because I think you're right. Yeah, like they wouldn't. But I think you're right. The 45 drives, they are the ones that, don't they own, isn't that the Stornator, one of their products? Or is that something different? Oh yeah, Blue Fire. Yeah, I totally know. And I didn't mean to say that like right after you did it. I was just like, I just need to put a rule somewhere. And I haven't been explicit about that rule. The bot's been doing it, but I probably should. Just for, I don't know, because the bot's there doing it. But yeah, no harm, no foul for sure. I didn't mean to call that out specifically. But yeah, Bitcoin mining chips, you doubled your money. Okay, if you can double your money, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't know anything about this, but I'd like to know more. But could you still double your money? I don't think so. Like, is that whole market like saturated now? I don't know. Like, yeah, it's funny because, Bitcoin, like, I feel like the news with Bitcoin, like, totally comes and goes, ebbs and flows. Like, and it's all based on the stock price too. And I think, power plays a big indicator too. It just ebbs and flows with the value of Bitcoin, along with the hardware it takes, right? So every new video card is like, it's either going to be sold out, or previous gens are going to be sold out, or, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. That's what I worry about for the 3080s or 30 series and the AMD series. It's like, okay, are Bitcoin miners going to be able to do something so much more efficient to where they're going to be able to, to buy it? I kind of think they will. I mean, I think, any advantage you have in that space, whether it be a new video card or more processing or more video cards is equals more money. So yeah, it's interesting. Tilburn, I found a guide on SR IOV for Proxmox. Nice. I was able to split my i540 T4 NIC into 20 VFs so it can be used for hardware. Oh, nice. It was worth it. My CPU barely gets touched, and now when the network traffic making my ass hurts. So, all right. So SR IOV, like you explained, isn't this is basically like basically splitting up hardware into, I guess, logical pieces so that you can use them for more devices and possibly get more throughput or load balancing, like you said, right? I haven't done anything with SR-IOV. I know the whole talk when 3090 was announced is that it supports it, but it's got to be unlocked from a driver. But that sounds really awesome because I would love to do that with other things. So can you do this with just anything, SR-IOV for Proxmox? I mean, I know you're able to split your NIC, but can you do that with any hardware? Because I think that's the dream. That's the dream for me, at least for video cards for sure. Bluefire, I could have 10x the money if we just bought the Bitcoin at that price. Oh yeah, man, yeah. iLoot, yep, they make the Storinator. All right, yeah. I knew the product they made, just not the company. Awesome. It was back in 2013. Yeah. I can put the link to the Wayback Machine and Butterfly Labs website. Yeah. Speaking of Wayback, that site is awesome. So glad they're maintaining that. Takano. So I'm using a Raspberry Pi to run the sequence, which is then connected to an I assume that's Arduino Mega, which will drive the relays. Communication between them is all via serial. Nice. When I go to edit the settings about the sequence schedule and stuff, are via the network. Oh, I see. So the communication to the Arduino to the drive relays is serial. But then you access that over HTTP or over the network. I don't know what protocol it is. That sounds pretty awesome. Are you following like a guide for this, or is this something you're piecing together yourself? Because it sounds awesome. iLoon, I have returned to self-flocking for slipping that one past the bot. No worries. And I didn't mean to. I'll just make it clear. Like, it didn't bother me at all, like one bit. I probably should have just I'll just put in the rules later and then whatever. But I just want to also make sure that everybody's safe with links. You know what I mean? And so it's a tough balance. And I know that no one here is going to, post links to stuff that would be bad. But you never know who's joining in the channel. And so I just, I have to kind of like put the line somewhere. And so, do I lean towards safety? Or do I lean towards trust? And absolutely, I trust everyone that's in here now for the most part. But who knows who's going to join later? So it's kind of like like all things, you got to put some safeguards in place. So sorry, I'm absolutely not trying to call anyone out. That was more of just like, hey, moving forward, let's do this instead. So yeah, let's see. SR-IOV is a pain with licensing video cards. Yeah, I totally agree too. I totally agree. And NVIDIA basically said, or someone from NVIDIA, how about this? The internet said that the 3090 was going to support SR-IOV too. And then the same person who said that basically backpedaled and said, yeah, it supports it, but whether or not NVIDIA enables it through a driver is still up to them. And then if they were to do that, I'm sure they got to figure out a licensing model too. Because it's like, I don't know. I feel like, man, I bought the hardware. Give me the stuff. You know what I mean? Don't put like features behind paywall through software for hardware that I own, But just me. It's not my business. Well, I gave them my business. So maybe it is my business. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel. Let's see. Tilburn, P2000 up for the Quadroline equals not a problem. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So for the Quadroline, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I use consumer cards. I think I've owned one Quadro in my life, but I don't know. I get a ton of value out of consumer cards. So it's always fun to figure this stuff out. But yeah, I don't get some of those, I guess, enterprise-like features though too. Takano, just HTTP, so I guess everything would be wireless controlled. Nice. it's kind of a couple guides just thrown together, and they're like 5 years old. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you guys, cool. Safety first. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for totally understanding. I'm not trying to be a jerk, and I don't mean to. Yeah, I've already said it. Not trying to call anyone out. Just gonna. Yeah. Techno. So I'm just modding the guides a bit to try it for my situation. So normally the main guide that I'm following is just using a regular laptop to control the Arduino, but I'm not able to just have a laptop laying outside. So I looked for and found a Falcon player, which does the same thing, which runs on a Pi. Yeah, that is awesome. I can't wait to see the case that this is in. Hey, Cludy, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Yeah, I can't wait to see like the box or the case that this thing runs in, because it's gonna be fantastic. I know you already said it's gonna be plywood, but I'm excited to see it, and hopefully it's all safe. I know if I built it, it wouldn't be. Hey, Alexa, see you. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Compfo2. Hey, first time I'm able to watch your stream since I'm from Germany. The last time you streamed were a bit late for our time zone. Found your channel a few weeks ago. Absolutely enjoy it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so yeah, my Saturday one tries to be non-North America friendly, or and so this one's a little bit earlier. And on top of that, today I had to do it a little bit earlier too today, because we're gonna hang out with some friends on this fine fall day. So yeah, for sure. Appreciate it. Glad you can make it. Takano, probably just a wooden box with some vents and stuff, since the relays might heat up a bit. I'm sure the Pi will heat up a good amount since it's running full OS. Yeah. Tilburn, I'm using the P2000 Quadro for my Plex server. It keeps the CPU quiet. It can stream 14 4K, 2160p at the same time. That sounds awesome. That sounds really awesome. So I just did a short test, and I was able to get 4 or 5 on my like piece of junk. I mean, I shouldn't say piece of junk. A 1050. Not that the piece of junk. I just mean that like I bought the lowest end 1050 possible only because I needed to do a couple things. And it's amazed me. So I shouldn't say the piece of junk. I should have said the affordable, because I'm super surprised at what it can do. But man, 14 4K. Yeah, and so when you transcode that, they're all hardware transcoded, not hitting the CPU at all, because that's awesome. I've noticed when I've done some transcoding, like at first, some of them, like, so I ran NVTop and I'm like, okay, these are obviously at least calling for the driver. Some of them sometimes hop on the CPU, and sometimes some of them hop on the GPU. And so it's really hard for me to tell, like, okay, how is it deciding this? But yeah, Tilburn, that sounds super awesome. I need to look into a P2000 or something similar. I need to look into an affordable Quadro, I guess, at some point. Because yeah, like I said, I have a 1050 and 1650, and they do okay. I don't know that I would replace them anytime soon, but definitely need to look in that. I think the P2000 is pretty affordable on eBay or wherever. Takano, it's just a base Raspbian with Falcon player running on top of it. Yeah, Raspbian, man. Sofferette, I'm an Austrian. Some same time as Germany. All right, 21:39 in my time zone. All right, not too late. So in about 20 minutes is usually when I would start. So yeah. Well, hopefully this worked out a little bit better for people. MG Arthur, I've decided to make a bit of fun PC server project. Nice. By putting in an old HP Reliant into a large wooden shipping box. I've got plans to use heat shields made from aluminum and tin. Love your videos. Awesome. Man. Okay, so why is it going into a large wooden box? A large wooden shipping box. And then you have heat shields from aluminum and tin. This sounds interesting. How are you going to get all that hot air out? I would love to know. And like, why is it in a box? Is that just because you don't have a server rack? Is that because it's going to be somewhere else? Yeah, so many questions about this one. I want to know. Tilburn, correct. All streams are on the Quadro. Yeah, I need to look into these too. At least for my limited testing, I had to go with what I had. But this might sound like a better route. Bluefire, is the link rule that you need to ask for permission first, or is it just impossible? Yeah, it's actually impossible. It's actually impossible, at least on here. And so, yeah, we don't allow links in the stream in general for all the things I mentioned earlier, because like, while I trust your links, you know, who knows in the future what links people can send. And so if you'd like to share something with the larger community, I highly encourage you to join Discord, because you can share links in there. And so, yeah, that's a good place to do it for sure. Tilburn, let's see. I think I can get P2000 Quadros on eBay from anywhere from $200 to $350, depending on the brand and quality. Yeah, I need to look into these at some point. Because yeah, are they two? Do they take up 2 slots or 1 slot? I'm betting 2. If they took up 1, that would be awesome. I need to look into them. As you can see, my gears are turning right now, because I mentioned earlier that I'm trying to plan out some new builds, and I don't know where my pen is, so I got to use this Sharpie, which is unfortunate because it'll bleed through to the next page. But this is important. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, for sure. Single? Oh man, yeah, nice. Single. All right, Mary. Oh, you guys. Yeah. Okay. Is it, does it take up 1 slot or 2? Yeah. What's its legal marriage status? Anyways, yeah, I'll have to look into those for sure. It's going to be a bit of a test on the PSU I'm using, since all the relays energized run for 4 amps load, plus the Raspberry Pi, which will run on 2 amps. Yeah. Yeah, and you don't want to supply not enough power to or you don't want brownouts, at least on your Raspberry Pi. It might handle it fine. But in general, machines don't like, less power than they like more power. It's I hear it's almost as bad, and I've run into that before. And you hear weird noises and you're like, that doesn't sound good. My Rodden, the guys over at here we go again. Server builds have some good info using Intel QuickSync for later models. Yeah, I hear that a lot too on QuickSync, for sure. The thing is, I considered, so I don't have, well, I might have machines with QuickSync, but most of my workloads are server workloads, and I don't think my servers have QuickSync. And if they did, at least my older servers, I don't know that I could pass through just that video card or that QuickSync video card. Maybe you can, to my virtual machine that's running the rest of this. And so that's kind of how my infrastructure is set up, is that I pass through hardware to virtual machines, and then use it there. And I don't know if I would be able to do that. Well, I think for sure, absolutely, my 710 doesn't support QuickSync. So my quick fix is just like throw cheap NVIDIA cards in there. It works out pretty good. Yeah. Wilshire, hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. But yeah, good to know. I hear tons of great things about QuickSync, especially when it comes to Plex, because people are like, yeah, I use QuickSync because Intel, I guess, did a pretty good job with that. But yeah, I have NVIDIA cards. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's something I need to keep in mind too, especially moving forward with new hardware. Tucano, the PSU is rated for 10 amps, so I think it will hopefully be enough. Nice. Tilburn single mirror. Yeah. I guess I'll investigate that myself. But I think you're saying it is. It takes up 1 PCI slot. How about that? That's a better. Senpai Carter, hey, thanks for the Senpai K Carter. I'm going to say Senpai Carter because there's a C and a K there. Senpai Carter, hey, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Let's see, my Rodden, I just got an old Optiplex with an i5 6500 from a family member's work that was decommissioned. I think it could be made pretty slick, standalone Plex box. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. An i5 6500, yeah, I'd say take it for sure. Yeah, why not? And if it's only running Plex, that's awesome. The cool thing that I'm starting to realize though too is that, Plex is only going to, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're only going to transcode on server if the device can't accept a direct stream itself. And so what I've been noticing is that like a lot of my devices, I actually had to force my devices to transcode between my iPhone, my Apple TV, my Xbox, even the web browser. I basically had to say, no, please transcode this for me, because direct stream seems to work everywhere, which is pretty cool. I think where transcoding helps me is when, people are doing it, when I have devices that are streaming my content that don't support direct stream. And so at first I was like thinking like, oh my gosh, like this GPU pass-through isn't working. But then I realized, oh yeah, like everything I use supports direct stream. So pretty cool. I mean, I know that's not the case with older devices, older tablets, and even streaming. If you stream outside of the home and you lower the bandwidth, right? Or you don't allow direct stream, or you force 720 or whatever you do for your content outside. But I was pretty impressed at how many devices support direct stream. So yeah, just an aside about that. But yeah, my Ryzen, it sounds like a great box, especially if you don't have something dedicated. It sounds like it'll totally work. Is your name an MTG reference? Yep, the Optiplex works great for my home labbing. Awesome. Plus Takano, plus the load of Arduino, only really worry when all the relays came on at once to see if it'll handle high surge. Yeah, how to handle that. Wilshire, hey, the man himself. What's up, Tim? Hey, chat. Hey, Wilshire, how's it going? Yeah, just getting caught up. How are you doing today? Welcome. Bluefire, what do you think about the decision not to ban Omnath? You guys are talking about MTG stuff. I don't know MTG. Maybe I should. Xidoro. Shidoro? I'm going to go with Xidoro. Doesn't NVENC blow QuickSync out of the water? Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't seen any performance testing between QuickSync and NVENC. I'm a huge fan of NVENC. I use it. This whole entire stream right now is being encoded via NVENC. Most of my video transcodes or my video rendering, at least previews, is done on NVENC. My Plex transcoding is done on NVENC, and so NVIDIA's put a ton of time on making sure that their NVENC encoder chip is pretty efficient and getting very close to H.264. Arguably, someone could say it's not the best quality, but this whole entire stream right now is being encoded with NVENC on my 1080. So I'm a huge fan. Is it better than QuickSync? I'm not sure. I just like the idea of QuickSync because it comes with certain CPUs, right? And so if you already have it, you might not have to buy some. But at the same time, I don't think that I could pass that through individually and separate that out for an IOMMU and be able to pass that through individually. I don't know. I'd have to look into it, but. Yeah, if you use QuickSync, let me know. I hear people always suggest it, but I've yet to hear someone who's actually using it. So yeah, great question. iLude, can you pass through QuickSync GPU on the VM? There you go. You can pass through. That's exactly what I was just asking. But you lose the GUI on the host. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking because they're one and the same, right? Because then the host doesn't have a GPU output, which might be okay. I don't know. Rarely do I have to do things on my host, which is Proxmox, that involve the video output that isn't prior to booting. How about that? Because after it boots, I never, ever, I'll SSH into it or use Proxmox GUI all day. And even when I'm doing stuff, making upgrades and changes, once Proxmox starts loading, I never touch anything from there on out. I shut everything down remotely. So yeah, it's a good call too. Tilburn, looked on my purchase history. I paid $217.35 shipping for a single PCI slot, Quadro P2000 about a year ago. Yeah, I got to look into these. Got to look into it. I like it, and it probably makes GPU pass-through a lot easier, or at least the whole hiding the driver and the notorious NVIDIA error on Windows. But yeah, Tronan, got the same from work, using it as a test box. I think I got like 4 transcoding streams at the same time before I ran into issues. Oh, good to know. My B for derailing the stream again. I think I'll go back into, nerd mode. Oh yeah, Blue Fire. Oh, Yeah, no, you don't have to derail the stream. No, these are things I mean, if it's a reference to something in social or, yeah, I should know about it. But yeah, don't worry about it at all. iLoot, the Plexers say that QuickSync does a cleaner transcode than NVENC. Might be the video equivalent of audio files. Oh yeah, it's good to know. People say the same thing about H.264 versus NVENC. I mean, I think it's everything versus NVENC. And so I think, over the last couple of years and generations of video cards, NVIDIA's been focusing on NVENC a ton. And I think a lot of it had to do with just gaming in general, right? Because every gamer now, most gamers, I should say, that stream and use a single card solution are using NVENC to do that because it totally offloads that encoding to the NVENC encoder instead of your CPU. So yeah, it's super nice. I think it looks pretty clear, and it works fine for me too. Even when I played games and streamed at the same time, I have a single 1080, and I could play 1080p games on the GPU and encode the stream with NVENC on the encoder, and it'd be mostly fine, depending on the game. But after streaming and doing, video, video editing and encoding, and then on top of that, now doing things with, Docker and NVIDIA, man, I feel like I get a lot better value out of my video cards than I used to. Because, years ago, not even that many years, I'll just say 2, I only used my video card really for playing games. And now, at least with my NVIDIA card, I use all kinds of pieces of technology that I didn't even know existed or even cared about, because I never had a use case for them now. So anyways, I'm sure it's the same with AMD. So I'll just say in general, I feel like we're getting a lot more value out of our video cards than we used to, depending on the types of tasks you're doing. And so, I'm doing lots of tasks now, not only gaming, and I feel like, man, it's like we're getting a lot better value. So I'm so glad that video card makers are putting one, more features into them, and two, focusing on those features. And it's what people are doing. So yeah. Hey, my secure gift. My secure gift. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. How about those new Ryzen 5K CPUs? Looks exciting. Absolutely they do. Yeah, the 50, I think I have my eye on the 5950X maybe? I don't know. It's like the last jump you can go to before you go to Threadripper. And so, I'm even like kind of debating, like, do I upgrade my current machine? I have a Intel CPU. I will say I haven't had an AMD CPU for many years, many years. But the 5000 series might be the first AMD CPU I get in many years. And a lot of it has to do with just timing, right? Like every time I would go and evaluate, Intel was a little bit ahead. But now AMD is just like, they are totally like just blowing, I think, Intel out of the water. At least for gaming, content creating, and like streaming. So multi-core processes on a desktop. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like why would I not? I can get so many more cores for less. And on top of that, my cores, could perform a lot better, have more L1, L2, L3 cache. And then on top of that, how they change the pieces to the die, just physically laying things out differently so that they can perform better. I'm just like, oh man, should I upgrade? And so that's, I want to see some real stats. But man, I've been considering it so much. And then I'm like, yeah, it's just like my hardware, my server stuff. I've been considering upgrading my workstation, which is right here, which is what I do everything on. So my next workstation has to be able to accomplish this, what we're doing right now, like, right, live streaming stuff, which this can. So why wouldn't next gen stuff do that? And still be able to get a considerable amount of performance gains. I think my machine keeps up pretty okay for live streaming. But for video encoding, editing, rendering, yeah, I would love to shave 10, 15 minutes off that. And not only that, like individual tasks, being able to, do a quick render of one scene real quick instead of waiting like 30, 40 seconds for my current Intel processor to do that quick render. And then there are so many more things. I can convince myself all day that I need to do it, but I've been looking. I've been thinking about, what is it? 50? Is it 5950X? I think is the highest one. That's not a Threadripper. I've been thinking about that. I'm trying to convince myself that I don't need Threadripper. I think the only reason I would tell myself or convince myself that I wanted a Threadripper is because I need more PCI Express lanes. I don't think I do on this machine. If I wanted to just go crazy and max out, like add a ton of PCI Express devices, and on top of that, tons of M.2 drives, yeah, I could convince myself. But I'm really thinking maybe I might do a build here in a little bit of 5950. And I think it's 5950X. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's their top tier, at least what they've explained so far. And I like the 59. I learned so much about AMD over the last 4 days because of this announcement. 3 days. But I like the 5950 for a couple reasons. One, lots of cores. Two, all the new cache. And then three, price point's pretty okay compared to the Intel version, which they say will be out in Q1, and who knows what that will even look like. And then the turbo on there. So I think those will turbo clock up to 4.9, which sounds awesome to me. I've been able to overclock this Intel system to 5 gigahertz. No problem. I shouldn't say no problem. No problem most of the time until I do something like this or encoding to where my PC hard locks. And while I enjoy 5 gigahertz, 99% of the time, I don't enjoy 5 gigahertz on this when it locks the one time during a live stream. And so I had to decide okay, is it going to be stability over performance? And I chose stability. Anyways, I do like that the 5950X will turbo up to 4.9. So I'm okay. Mine's permanently, at least this one, is overclocked to, I think I overclocked this to 4.3 gigahertz, and it will turbo up to 4.6 or something. There's a range, or I give it a 300 megahertz range, above or below. And so it's super stable. And so anyways, that's another thing that I have going in my head. I'm at the same time thinking about some of my, my future server upgrades. At the same time, I'm okay, well, do I just do future, PC upgrades and get that benefit, realize that benefit most of the time for most of my tasks that I do on this machine, or do I do it on the server? And so, yeah, yet another. But if I do, then I was thinking, okay, I'm going to just get a 38 at the same time. Totally going to freaking break my bank. Anyways, not that I have that much anyway. L Bog M, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. But yeah, so many interesting things. I love this time of year, and it has nothing to do with Black Friday or anything. I mean, I love this time of year for a lot of reasons. But I love seeing all this new tech coming out at the end of the year, because it's a lot to think about. And I don't think about it I'm going to buy all this stuff. I hate to sound like that, because I rarely upgrade. My machine here is, I think, 3-4 years old, and I didn't even jump on the 20 series NVIDIA bandwagon. I have a 10 series still, because all my stuff, I like to get the most value out of my stuff, and the longer I keep something, the more value I get out of it. So anyways, but I think I always compare this to Zillow. I need something that's to make me move. You know how you see that on Zillow? It's yeah, make me move, that whole filter you can put on. I do feel like this, the AMD processor, the 5950X might be a make me move. And it's a big make me move. It's not just make me move get a new processor. It's make me move off the Intel platform, which is kind of, like I said, I've been an Intel person for a long time. And it's not because I have any kind of affiliation with them. It's just because, every time I would build a machine, I would do some research and say, this is the best thing I can build at the time for what I need. So if I do that evaluation, in about 3 weeks, the answer might be AMD for me. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited about it. I'm kind of scared too. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be scared. the end of the day, I want good performance and good value and stability at the same time. Stability 100%. I'll take that over performance any day. And I've learned that more and more as I get older. Because like I said, like even like a year ago, I had this thing overclocked at 5 gigahertz and then it dies during a stream. And I'm like, all those performance gains for the last week were not worth it because now no one is in my stream. And they're like, what the heck is going on? So anyways, and then to clock it back is not an easy task when you're under pressure, like trying to get reconnected to Twitch. Anyways. Yeah, sorry, I went on for that for a while because I think it's interesting and important, and I'm going to do that evaluation here soon. Sorry, I need to grab a drink. I'm just like barking out at the microphone. Also, before I forget to say, yeah, thank you guys so much for earning points and spending points. If you have no idea why the color of my background keeps changing, it's because I've built a bot and wired it up to my Philips Hue. It's awfully green right now, probably a bug in my code, absolutely. But I built a bot that's in my channel that does a couple of things, and one of the things it does is rewards people, there you go, who redeem points. And so I have, yeah, this should be a little more pink. Can I do this? Anyways, I have a bot that's there. When you redeem points, I think it's 1,000 points. Points are absolutely free. You earn them just from watching, nothing else. And then when you get 1,000 points, you get to choose what the light color is in my room. And that's if my code works. And so, and I've been playing with the colors and stuff a little bit. This one obviously didn't work out the way I thought it was going to work because I should have a little pink in there too. But anyways, totally free, totally fun. Colors are not guaranteed, as you've seen the last couple of streams. But I promise it's not my code. It's the Philips Hue code, and I need to go through it. At the end of the day, I wrote it, but their WebSockets disconnect me, and the client I use to reconnect doesn't always reconnect. So I got to figure that out, and I don't want to do some brute force like draconian stuff, like I don't know, like keep forcing it to reconnect. So I got to figure out an elegant way because I have a feeling that when the WebSocket disconnects, I should get an event saying disconnected. And then I should say, okay, reconnect. And then have a back off policy say, if it disconnected this many times, back off, back off, whatever, 2 seconds at a time until you can finally connect and then reset that counter. Anyways. But yeah, so that's what it is. HP Software Rat, HP Reliant DL380 G7 for $200. What? Yeah, that is a what? Senpai Carter, Firefox uses the GPU to transcode video streams, so streaming 4K content is much more obtainable. Yes, I like it. I'm still running my 8600K. Yeah, that is awesome. I should tell you what model I'm running. I think we're really close. I'll tell you what Intel CPU I'm running right now. It's funny how I forget these things, but I just like, at the time I do the evaluation and I just totally compartmentalize it and I throw it away because I know where to find it. Hey, you know what? we're on the same exact, almost the same CPU, Blue Fire. I'm Intel 8700K. So I'm on an 8700K. And then I have overclocked to 4.3 with turbo up to whatever. Goes up to 4.6, but it can clock down to 4.3. So yeah, and so anyways, I'm right there with you, man. MG Arthur, okay, great. Haha, I bought some 3 months ago for 100. Oh, we're talking about, for the G7? Oh man, you guys get stuff so cheap. My secure gift won a 5950 for my new VM server. Yeah, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome too. Like I'm super excited about GPUs and servers. I always have been. As you can probably tell from some of my videos, I figured out how to pass through GPUs to guests because I, one, had a need for it, and two, just wanted to see if it was possible. And so now I figured it out in Windows and Linux. Now I feel like I want some next level stuff now too. I want more enterprise features where I can actually split up some of these cores and just divide it across all of my VMs. I guess the IO SRV, I think is what it's called. No route. Hey, damn, I'm late. Yeah, sorry. This one was a little bit early. Sorry, I put it out on Twitter, which then puts it on Discord. I need to find a good balance of how to communicate with people. But I had to do this one a little bit early because we're meeting with some friends. Agua Jobin. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Software rep, because 60 gigs of RAM, 4x446 SAS 10K, 4x600 gigs SAS 10K, 2x10 gig SFP, and a SAS RAID controller, 8 cores. That's totally cheap. Yeah, it is. Senpai Carter, Threadripper is very nice for the bonus price. Yeah, PCI lanes. I'm using 32 lanes, and I have another 32 available. Yeah, and so I want to see if they make improvements to Threadripper too. I haven't heard anything. I don't know if they're going to, but I want to convince myself that a 5950K will work for me without needing the additional PCI lanes for what I do. I'm not going to run SLI. Very limited M.2 drives, maybe one, a couple of SATA drives. I have, a PCI Express 4-way HDMI input for all my cameras and streams. And I have a sound card in there that I never use. So anyways, because now all my sound comes through GoXLR. So yeah, I wanna look. But yeah, good to know. Yep, the 5950X and 4-socket 799 is kind of insane. I totally agree. But the spec is always consistent across all of them. Some of them come with like dual core, single CPU setups. I don't know why though. Yeah, I'll have to, so this is talking about the servers. Yeah. iLoot claims 20% faster over a previous Ryzen 3000 series. I saw that. They're claiming double digits everything. Performance, power, reduction. They have double digits everything. So yeah, this is super interesting. And I this is all marketing material from them. We've seen how that goes. Now I'm not saying it's not true, but we need some real world tests too, for sure. Techno Tim, I want a 5950X for my new VM server. Man, you guys are going all out on your servers. I want one for my new desktop. At least for me, that's where I'll get the most value first. But yeah, software at it's the something Austrian used in the market. Oh, you guys are talking about the servers. Bluefire, my 8600K is constantly clocked at 4.9, very stable with an Arctic liquid freezer. Oh, nice. Yeah, I like I said, like my 5 was pretty good most of the time. Oh, and I should try it again. I don't want to though, because I don't want my stream to crash. But I will say, when I did do 5 gigahertz, I was not using NVENC at the time, which, as you know, then it will offload the H.2.6 transcoding now to my CPU. So yeah, it might be worth a try again. Yeah, good call out on that. Barely any voltage increase. Yeah. Shivs, would you be sharing a thought on your server upgrade or desktop on Discord? I'm moving into my own apartment next week. Excited to build my IT rack, so finally considered a 1U server desktop upgrade as well. Absolutely, I will. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I share most all of my tech stuff. I do save some stuff for a video. Where I feel like, hey, this is something I don't want to announce until the video. But as you see, most of the time, I talk about this stuff on stream or in Discord, and it ends up in the video. I just don't say, yeah, the next video is going to be this. So absolutely, these are things I talk about. These are things that people in the community talk about. So yeah, I'll definitely share it as soon as I know. And because I want your guys' opinion too. I feel like my next upgrade should be semi open source. So I say semi because you still need a maintainer, or but I feel like it should, because I don't have the experience that everyone does collectively, right? And so I value everyone's opinion. I value people's experiences and feedback. And so, I feel like for the most part, we all kind of do that anyways, right? We want a recommendation, right? And we trust this person's recommendation because they've done it before, or because they know a lot about this. And so I do the same thing with people in here and people in Discord too. So yeah, anyways, long story short, yes, I will be sharing stuff for sure. MG Arthur, I'm on my old iMac here. It's nice little i5 2400S, 8 gigs of RAM. Yeah, hey, that's no shame in that, for sure. Climax, Intel equals broken, monolith, binning, AMD equals modular, microservices, winning. You should have added winning to there, because then it would have rhymed. But yeah, I totally agree, Climax. Yeah, that's what it's looking like. Tilburn, does your other half's eyeglass open when you speak nerd? This happens to me, just curious. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure it does. And I think a lot of people, that happens in general with a lot of people when you talk about topics either you don't really understand, don't care about, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, absolutely. Because I think when I speak tech, it's not only the topics, but the terminology too, that I think is a little bit hard for her to grasp. And so, she'll always ask, what's your next video on? And I told her, it's going to be on passing through a GPU to a server and probably Docker. And she has no idea. And so, I kind of have to I try to tailor my response to the audience. Like I think a lot of people should do when you speak in general. And so, that goes from that to, you know how I put in the video card in the server to try to fix some of the buffering we're seeing in Plex? Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to do a video on that because I think there's other people who might put a video card in their server too, So that's how that conversation absolutely went down. And that's how I had to explain it. But yeah, absolutely gloss those over. Let's see here. iLude, what software do you use to blur your background? Zero software. You want to see this? That's zero software. That's 100% lens with autofocus. Because look, that's my thumbprint. That gets a little weird. So yeah, that's 100% lens autofocus. No software. Yeah, and pretty decent, cheap lens for what you get. It's in gear links below if you're interested. But I have an A6400 mirrorless Sony camera connected through HDMI to my video for the PCI device that has 4 inputs. And then I have a semi-decent, it's relatively cheap lens on there. Like I didn't go all out and spend like thousands of dollars on the lens. I'm like, no, give me like a lens that can do what I want, but it's not the, $1,000 lens. Kind of, again, a value play on my part because I knew what I was going to be using it for. But yeah. Senpai Carter, man, I should, yeah, you guys are answering my stream. Thank you so much answering these questions. But yeah, exactly what you just said. It's all glass and autofocus. Let's see. Climax. Red orange is low frequency and pink is high frequency. How do you mix both? I think what you're talking about is my lights. Well, I have Philips Hue lights, and so I have lots of different bulbs, and so I mix and match. Like each thing you're seeing that's throwing off light is a Philips Hue bulb, and so I then create a scene that's mix and match of those colors. For some reason, it's all green right now, and there should be a mix of blue in there. I gotta figure that out. Blue Flyer, probably f-stop on the camera. Yep, for sure. I have the f-stop right now is 1.4, and so very short depth of field. But then I have autofocus on, so it blurs out the background. So yeah, it's 100% not software, lens only, and aperture, I should say. Depth of field, yeah. You guys are on this, man. Thank you so much. Blue Orc Warrior, I saw an interesting video recently about how there is such a thing as brown light. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. That sounds kind of scary. Title: Brown color is weird. Okay. Let's see. Techno Technology Connections is a super good channel. Yeah, I should check it out. Blue Fire. I love the AMD processors allow ECC on the normal high-end desktop parts. Yeah. Again, another reason why. Climax isn't a GPU inherently single tenant. I think you mean yes. I think unless you use software or have like a grid or Tesla or something like that. I think that's what you mean. But yes, generally speaking, yes. But for, server, grid compute GPUs, you can actually share those cores across individual more tenants. I think that's what you're asking. Tronan, any thoughts on IP KVM? Really missing iDRAC features in my home lab. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard of some. I would love it if that were the case. But for me, I remote desktop into my Windows machines and I SSH into the other ones. And for the ones I just want quick and dirty, and these are all virtualized, I do it through Proxmox. And then if I needed something a little more robust than that, I would use Guacamole, because Guacamole then gives you a web UI to do all of this through a website, through HTML5 without any plugins. And so that's kind of my thing. I VNC or not VNC, I apologize, SSH or RDP into machines. Then if I need something super quick and dirty, it's Proxmox. And then if I want to manage all of those and not even use Proxmox, and it could be for things not virtualized, I use Guacamole. So yeah. I'm sorry. Aqua con Haban. I should learn how to pronounce that. Hi, I'm from Chile. Hey, how's it going? What do you think about Flutter? It's interesting. I think that Flutter is interesting. I've used React Native for a long time, and it's not without its downfalls or challenges. But I'm able to create native apps really fast for Android and iOS using React Native, while still using the ideas and the things I've learned in React. So it helps me use React elsewhere for not only web. So I really enjoy React.js, and I don't mean to answer your question with what I use, but that's kind of the baseline for what I expect out of this this kind of abstraction over mobile, right? And that's what Flutter's trying to do too. They're trying to allow you to build an app for iOS and Android by only using a single code base, and it's created by Google. But that code base, I think, is in Dart, which to me, it's like, okay, like I totally get why you did it. I wish they would have done it in Kotlin or something else. So something where you can take a skill you have and apply it to that and say, you know what, I understand how to write Kotlin or Java or JavaScript, right? And so, that removes a lot of friction. I feel like going to Flutter, although you're not learning how to write Kotlin or Java for Android and Objective-C or Swift for iOS, you're learning a new language and a new framework at the same time. So it's probably awesome. It probably is. If Google did it and it's open source and it has a okay size community, it's probably awesome and people are using it. But for me, it's kind of hard to make that leap, only because like I said, I do a ton of JavaScript. If I learn React Native, I also learn React.js and vice versa. If I learn React.js, I also learn React Native. So I kind of get 2 for 1 there, right? And then on top of that, I get 2 for 1 on platforms. So I get to write JavaScript for React Native, which gives me iOS and Android apps. For Flutter, I feel like, okay, now I have to learn Dart. I think it's Dart, correct me if I'm wrong. I have to learn Dart, and then I don't get to apply that Dart anywhere else because I don't write Dart anywhere else. I think it's Dart, please correct me if I'm wrong. But that's not the important piece. It's then I have to learn a new language. And then on top of that, then I get my 2 for 1, my 2 platforms. But then I can't apply that anywhere else. And so I don't mean to be such a downer on Flutter. Like I think Flutter confirms why things like React Native and things like Ionic and PhoneGap exist, right? Is that there are awesome ways to write cross-platform code without learning the platform itself. And so I think that helps solidify that idea, that React Native and Ionic and all these other things are on the right track. But I don't think, for me personally, that Flutter's a good choice because of that. And, I hear, so I'm on the periphery, I'm not in that community because I don't write it, but I hear on the periphery sometimes too, is that, the community around it, nothing against the people, but the tooling, isn't there as well, or not as mature as other things like Ionic and React Native. And that comes with the territory, right? They're the newest and latest and greatest cross-platform, for mobile. So maybe that'll grow. So anyways, I'm probably, that's that's my opinion of it. But can you create apps really fast? Absolutely. Is it maintained by Google and help you build performant native apps for Android and iOS? Absolutely. And so if that's something you want to learn and do, absolutely go for it. It's, I assume, a lot easier than building, an Objective-C or a Swift app for iOS and a Kotlin or a Java app for Android, So absolutely. So I'll end it with that. But have not enough experience. These are only things that I've heard or seen or read. But I have a ton of experience in React Native. My secure campaign, time for an epic server. I think, I gotta lean, I gotta do a value play on the next one. I think so, but maybe it's not out of the running. I'll say that. Let's see here. Let's see the KCA, not many support decent splitting on them, but they get expensive due to market segmentation. MG Arthur, hey, I don't know how good you are with server stuff or what your plans are, but there are some big issues trying to get PCIe Passthrough on Linux. I couldn't get it working with Proxmox because of this. That is from MG Arthur. Hey, MG Arthur, I just did it today in my video. So I know it's tough, but I figured it out. Hopefully I figured out the hard stuff and documented it all. So on the thing I released today was absolutely that PCI Passthrough of NVIDIA GPU to an Ubuntu server. And then I even went further in that Ubuntu server. Then I actually take advantage of that GPU in Docker and Kubernetes. You don't have to do the Docker and Kubernetes stuff, but that was just kind of icing on the cake to show that, hey, I can pass this GPU all the way down from the host all the way to a Docker container that's virtualized. So yeah. Let's see here. Software at Proxmox PCI Passthrough and Proxmox Wiki is the choice. Yeah. ArchWiki also has some great documentation. It was issues with both GPU Passthrough and the RAID controller not working through Proxmox. Interesting, because I do that. Just nod and say cool. Yeah. It was a while ago since I tried, but it was something along the lines of Intel's IMU driver and RMRR checking that means anything to you. Yeah. Kopif, what capture card do you use? What capture card do I use? I switched. So I used to use Elgato's, but nothing. Elgato's are fantastic, and I would still highly recommend them if you are needing one. But I actually needed more, and so I switched to a Blackmagic for HDMI input because sometimes I use tablets, sometimes I use mobile, sometimes I use two cameras. So I switched to that. And GearLink, I can't do all of the marketing material. I can't do justice to all the marketing they have around it and why I chose it, but I have gear links below too if you want to check it out. But yeah, it's but if not, you only need one. Absolutely, Elgato. I think Elgato's the way to go. They are killing it in this space. Let's see, KCA. I'm still waiting for an effective Radeon to reset fix because it borks my desktop. Angel of the Odd, I see your gear. You're using R720s. I'm using R710. But did you install GPUs in there? Yeah, absolutely I did. Absolutely I did, Angel of the Odd. I did. So I use a 710 and I have GPUs in there. Yeah, and that's the thing I talked about today was just about that. Today was getting it working with Linux. MG Arthur, yeah, man, I have a tutorial on this, so you should try it. If you're doing it with Proxmox, I have one on it, and I've kind of figured it out, and then I did it again just this past week to get it working with NVIDIA. So I advise trying it again. People have said that it's I did it in 5, which I thought was harder, and I'm doing it in Proxmox 6, which people said they've had some problems with it, but I haven't. Let's see, no route. Those are not really an alternative for IP KVM though. With IP KVMs come in handy when your machine doesn't respond. Yeah, for sure. Yep, I totally agree. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. You need access to the machine prior to the OS loading. Yeah, 100% agree, right? You want to get into BIOS or into UEFI or do something, or get in the RAID controller or the, wake on LAN on the NIC. Yeah, I totally agree. I don't have any recommendations. I love them. When I did some server stuff way back in the day, I loved KVMs. I even had, I knew the keyboard commands to switch monitors. I even had one in my own house when I was younger because I did a ton of PC repair stuff. But they weren't IP based, so yeah. You can get KVM hardware switch, yeah, for sure. React, huh? What about Elm? I don't know anything about Elm. I don't. I honestly don't. I mean, React for front end has just been incredible. Bluefire, I'm currently learning JavaScript. I already know a bit of C, C++, and a lot of VBA. Awesome. Learning, not leaning. Conf, I had the decision between Flutter and React Native 2 weeks ago. First thought I would use React Native because I'm also a web developer, but then I'm more of a Vue guy and was absolutely confused by React and frustrated and started with Flutter. Yeah, that's when you just bail, right? But I will say, even if you are confused by React, you still get your whole entire JavaScript toolchain, right? So you're going to get your ESLint. You're going to get your whole entire. So if you're a Vue guy, you know that you depend on, your tool chain and your package.json, right, for tools. But if you find that using Dart is you get more benefit out of that with Flutter, yeah, absolutely go for it. So I'm not saying my way is right. I'm just saying why I still lean towards React Native, just because I get to carry on and bring on all of my things I've learned and tools I've collected over time and apply them to that. Hey, Magzigs, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Hey guys, I hate to do this, but man, I'm gonna have to kind of wrap it up. I gotta be somewhere, and I didn't realize what time it is, so I really gotta hurry. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and I either apologize or I don't know if this time worked better for most people. I just had to shift it a little bit today because, like I said, we got some stuff going on. But typically, the stream is at 7 CST during the week and 3 CST on the weekend. So that means that I will be back then on what, Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday, 7 CST. But man, so many great conversations going on here about projects, about CPUs, about server builds, about networking, about streaming. Like, I love it. Like, these are all the things I love to talk about, and I could talk about it all day. I encourage you, if you haven't already, to join the Discord, because in our Discord server, we talk about a lot of these things too. From anything from, thank you, Takano. We talk about anything and everything from tech. So we have super high-tech stuff going all the way up to Docker Rancher, Kubernetes, networking, storage, hypervisors, to super low-tech stuff even. Just talking in general about anything that's going on, as well as pictures of dogs and pets and cats. And so I encourage you to join. Thank you so much for the follow, Alig G and Angel of Medeiros Nobrega. Sorry, I'm slowing that name. Thank you both for the follow. Appreciate it. But encourage you to join. You can obviously, there's a link below. Takano linked it, but use Discord again if you just joined and missed it. And you can join our Discord. I encourage you to do so. Thank you so much. Man, you guys are awesome. Have a great weekend. And as always, be good to each other.